Good morning, everyone. This is Professor Amar Vakodi, and this is one of the recorded online videos for the subject Water Supply and Treatment Engineering, that is Module 3. And the first bit for that is sedimentation. So, today we are going to study what are the different aspects of sedimentation, what are the different types, as well as its design procedure. Sedimentation is one of the primary treatment units used for the removal of suspended solids. So as we have discussed in the previous classes, so the entire treatment can be divided into preliminary or primary, secondary, tertiary, or what we call it as advanced. So this sedimentation tank or sedimentation process is one of the primary treatment units what we use for the removal of suspended particles. So most of the suspended particles or impurities will have specific gravity more than that of water, that is being more than 1, because of which they tend to settle down. But for this particular settlement, there will be a problem or there will be a resistance because of the turbulence in water. And if we reduce this particular turbulence, then automatically the particles will tend to settle down since they have a higher specific gravity than the water. And this simple technique or this simple process is basically the working principle behind sedimentation. And the tank what we used to do this particular process, we call it as sedimentation tank, and the time for which the water is retained into that particular sedimentation tank is called as detention period. Theory of sedimentation. So the entire process of this sedimentation or else the working principle can be divided based on these particular three aspects. To make this sedimentation happen, so these three aspects are quite important. First one is the velocity of flow. So as and when, if I just take up a plan, imagine these are the two areas where the water is flowing, something like this. So now in the first section, what is happening, because of this reduced cross sectional area, the velocity for a same discharge, the velocity will be more. But as and when the same water, when it enters into the second section, because of this higher cross sectional area, the velocity is going to be less. So as and when your horizontal velocity is less, it is quite easy for those suspended particles to settle down. So that's why this, as and when the velocity of flow is reduced in the horizontal direction, automatically the particles will tend to settle down more easily. This is the first bit. Now second one is viscosity of water. So as and when the viscosity of water is more, then there will be more resistance for those particles to settle down. This is because as and when the viscosity is more, your liquid is bound to become more thick. So as and when it is more thick, so because of that, the settlement of those particles will face more resistance. And this viscosity is basically inversely proportional to the temperature. So as and when the temperature is more, your viscosity will be less. And as and when the viscosity is less, your particle will tend to settle down at a much faster rate. But unfortunately, in a practical scenario, temperature cannot be maintained or else it cannot be controlled. So this is one of the factors, but this particular factor cannot be controlled in the treatment unit. Whereas the third one is size, shape and specific gravity of the particle. So as you know, as and when the size is more, obviously the amount of settlement will be faster. As and when even the specific gravity is more, obviously even the particles will settle down at a faster rate. But when it comes to the shape, it actually depends. For example, to give you, imagine this, if I have a particle of, let us say, a circular shape and one more is of a flake shape. So whenever you try to analyze how these settle down, so obviously the flaky one will settle down at a faster rate because its cross sectional area with respect to settling velocity or settling direction is less, because of which it can tend to settle down at a faster rate, whereas this broader shaped body will take a longer time to settle down. So that's why this shape is an ambiguous parameter where based on different shapes of these particular particles, even the settlement velocity is going to be different. Hence, to understand the entire concept of this settling, so we have few formulas that are formulated to actually get the settling velocity, what we call it. As per your current curriculum, so we have Stokes law to determine the settling velocity. So here this Vs is nothing but the settling velocity. For the diameter of the particle, if it is less than 0.1 mm, then we can use the first one, that is g by 18 capital G minus 1 d square by nu. And similarly, if you consider the temperature aspect whenever you are calculating the settling velocity, then we have these other two formulas. So the first one is, if the diameter is less than 0.1 mm, then we can use this, and if the diameter of the particle is in between 1 mm and 0.1 mm, then we can use the second one. So here it is Vs is equals to 418 into G minus 1 into d square into 3t plus 70 divided by 100, whereas it is not squared in the third one. So if you check out, Vs is nothing but the settling velocity, small g is nothing but the gravitational force, capital G is nothing but the specific gravity of the particle, nu is nothing but the kinematic viscosity of water, d is the diameter of the particle, and T is temperature in degree centigrade. And the problems on these particular formulas we will be solving once we reach back to the regular classes. Now, so types of settling. So whenever you consider a suspended particles, it can settle down in any of these four different types. So the first one is what we call it as discrete settling, second one is hindered settling, third one is zone settling, and the fourth one is compression settling. So if you just look at these particular figure over here, so I'll just take this pointer. Yeah, so now if you just check out this particular figure, so the first one is discrete settling. So in this discrete settling, if you check out, so the amount of particles in that particular zone is quite less. So the concentration of particles in this particular settling will be very less, and each particle will settle down on his own. So that is, it will not interact with the other particles which are there nearby itself, and as a whole or else as an individual particles it tend to settle down. So basically, even in the name, this discrete indicates what? It is discrete, or else it is individually it is trying to settle down. Now similarly for the type 2 or hindered settling, here also the amount of concentration of these particular suspended particles will be less, but here what will happen is, here because of these particular particles which are quite nearby to one another, so these will have, or else these particular things may create a flock, and because of which its mass will be increased, and in turn they will be settling down. So that is nothing but hindered settling. So one more aspect over here is why it is called as hindered settling is because whenever they are settling down, they will get the hindrance because of the other particles which are nearby. Now similarly, the third one is zone settling. So in this zone settling, what is happening is, again the concentration of particles is intermediate, and here what will happen is, because of this concentration of particles, the particles will collide, or else they will form a flock with each other. So that is, all these particular particles will tend to have a flock, and as and when the flock is formed, its size, shape as well as mass is increased, and because of that it will tend to settle down. Now similarly, the last one is compression settling. So in this compression settling, obviously the amount of concentration of these particular suspended solids is very high, and because of which what is happening is, so these particular surrounding particles, because of that intermolecular forces, they will form a flock, they will increase in their size, because of which they will settle down. But along with that, there is one more thing is, as and when the topmost particles are settling down, what is going to happen is, as and when the topmost particles are settling down, what will happen is, so the particles which are already at the bottom will be again pushed up, or else pushed down by the uppermost particles. So again, because of this, what will happen, the particles which have already settled down will be compressed, and in turn again the new settlement will be bound to be there. So this is how these four particular types of settling are going to be there. So this is just a general what I can say explanation what we can give. So in the next slide we are going to see regarding the technical definitions for all of these. Now, type 1 settling or discrete settling. So this corresponds to the sedimentation of discrete particles of low solid concentration, and this is also called as free settling, since particles have little tendency to flocculate or coalesce upon contact with each other. So what does this mean is, basically here what will happen is, here since these particular particles, discrete particles are there, so they will not have any tendency, or they will have very little tendency to flocculate or coalesce upon contact with each other. So they will have an individual particle, and each individual particles will try to settle down on its own. Now similarly, type 2 or hindered settling. So this type of settling refers to a dilute suspension. So here also the concentration of those suspended particles will be very less, but here they coalesce or they form this flock and they increase in mass, and finally they try to settle at the bottom. So this is nothing but the type 2 settling. So here to explain what this flocculate or flock is, basically what will happen is, so you can see these small particles which are there. As and when they come near each other, because of the particular ions which are present over there, so what will happen is they will attract with each other, and in turn they will form a larger group of these particular particles, and this larger group of particles itself, what we call it as a flock or a flocculate, and this process what we call it as coalesce. Right. Now the third one is zone settling. So this refers to flocculent suspension of intermediate concentration. So in the first two, the concentration was quite dilute, whereas here in the third one it is intermediate. So here what will happen is, because of the intermolecular forces, the particles will come together, in turn they increase in mass, and then they settle down as a whole. So here also what will happen, because of those intermolecular forces, so all these particles will combine, join, increase in size, increase in its mass, and then they try to settle down. Now the last one is compression settling. So this refers to flocculent concentration which is high, and these particles come in contact with each other, resulting in the formation of a structure. So further, this settling can be due to the compression of the weight by the settling particles. That is, here if I just tell you, so if these particles are being settled down, for example, yeah, and similarly the above particles are about to settle down. So what does these will do is, so the uppermost particles will have a compression force, or else they'll add up the weight on top of these settled particles. In turn, there will be compression of the settled particles. And similarly, this process will continue until the sedimentation, or else this particular settling is complete. Now, sedimentation tank. So a sedimentation process can be achieved through any of the tanks or any of the structures which are possible. So the only thing is, we need to provide proper conditions in which the sedimentation or settlement will take place. So even the storage reservoirs or water reservoirs what we have, even that can act as a sedimentation tank. But unfortunately we cannot take that as a granted one. The reason is because of any of the wind what will be there, flow of currents, and even the turbulence caused due to the operation of those reservoir gates, or even the inflow parameters. So that's why we need a proper tank to utilize or to settle the suspended particles, where the entire flow conditions are controlled, and this will help in maximizing the settling of particles. And usually these sedimentation tanks are generally made up of RCC structures, and in a general way these can remove up to 70% of the suspended particles which are there. Types of sedimentation tank. So we have basically two types of sedimentation tank. First one is the horizontal flow type, and the second one is the vertical flow tank. So again, in the horizontal we have two types. One is rectangular tank and one more is circular tank. Whereas again for the circular tank we have central feed and peripheral feed. So if I need to explain regarding the working of these horizontal flow tank, so the entire process is based on achieving a particular ideal condition. So this ideal condition is what? We want to have equal velocity at all points lying on each vertical line in the settling. So what do I mean by that is, if I just take this tank as a settling tank or a sedimentation tank, imagine this is the inlet and this is the outlet. So at each point, or else at each vertical section, we want to have the same velocity. We want to have the same velocity throughout these all the vertical sections. So again, this particular velocity, what I am talking about, is basically a horizontal velocity. So we want to maintain the same horizontal velocity at all vertical sections over here. And one more condition that needs to be met over here is this horizontal velocity should be always less than the settling velocity. So if this horizontal velocity is less than the settling velocity at each vertical section, then obviously the amount of settlement or else the amount of removal of these suspended particles will be more. So this is what is basically being told over here. Now, with respect to explanation or again different types, so whenever it comes to the horizontal flow tank, so we may have two types. One is continuous flow and one more is plug flow. So what that continuous flow is, you can just see here. Imagine this is just a simple example. This is an inlet arrangement through which the water will enter into this particular tank, and similarly simultaneously the same quantity of amount is going to go out of this inlet. So if this particular inflow and outflow is continuous, then we call that as a continuous flow rectangular tank with longitudinal flow. Now similarly, plug flow indicates what? We have a tank where we are going to just store this water for a fixed amount of time, and after that, so once this entire settling is taken place, then again what we'll do is we'll empty all these contents, and then again the fresh water will be added up. So here it will not be a continuous flow. So once we add the water into the tank, we'll wait for few times so that the settling is done, then the inlet is cut off, then the outlet will be started and the water will be pumped out. So this is nothing what we call it as a plug flow. Now similarly, operating procedure as well as removal of sludge. So we'll discuss that in the next slide. Okay, now this is a rectangular tank with longitudinal flow. Again, here I'd like to explain this particular figure is indicating what? A rectangular sedimentation tank. Now what it is there, let us see here. We have the influent or inflow over here. As and when the inflow is coming, there is a particular channel. Regarding this, we'll study in the coming slides. And once this, through this inlet arrangement, once the water enters here, you can see there will be a baffle. So again, why this baffle is provided? So that the inflow water should not disturb the water which is there in this particular tank. So as and when it hits the water, so the water will go down and then it will try to move in the horizontal direction. So as and when it moves in the horizontal direction, so similarly the settlement of particles is bound to take place. So as and when the settlement takes place, you can check it out. These are nothing but the effluent channels or weirs, what they have called. So what will happen is the water, the supernatant liquid will collect over here into all these small channels, and they are collected, and through an outlet arrangement it is taken out to the next treatment unit. So this is the simple working procedure for this. So whether it is a circular one or a rectangular one, basically through the inlet arrangement the water will be let it in, and once the water is let in, once the water is let in, it will pass through a baffle where the water will move away from or else move along with that baffle and then enters into the main chamber where the horizontal flow it will be there, and once the settlement of all particles will be there, again it will be taken out through these effluent channels. Now if you check out this particular part, this is nothing but what we call it as a scraper. So what is happening is all these particles which are there, imagine they are settling down, right? So again those settled particles needs to be taken out. So this particular process can be done manually or mechanically. So right now what you are seeing in this figure is a mechanical one. So you can see here the driving unit which is there, that is nothing but a simple motor which will be there, and these are nothing but the scrapers. So these scrapers will be in the form of, it will be like a particular what I can say pipe or a tube or a section will be there, and to that there will be scrapers like this throughout. What they will do is, and based on this motor it will be rotating. So what these will do is, whatever the particles which are settling down, so these will scrape all those particles and they will dump it on one place. So here what will happen is through these scrapers all the settled particles will be taken out and it will be got to this hopper. So basically this is what sludge withdrawal pipe or a sludge hopper, what we call it over here. So this is nothing but a mechanical process. So once the sufficient quantity of sludge or a predetermined quantity of sludge is already collected, through these pipes you can just pump that sludge to the outlet and it can be dried or else it can be taken up to the further processing. Now similarly, if you don't have this particular arrangement, you don't have the mechanical scrapers, at that point of time you can use manual labors. So usually manual labors are used whenever it is plug flow. So in the plug flow, what will happen? We will fill up all these tanks and will cut off this inflow, and at that time even the outflow will be cut off, and you are going to wait here for up to 30 to 36 hours as a particular detention time. So once this 30 to 36 hours are complete, so the settlement is taken down, what they will do is they'll pump out the water and they'll retain around 0.9 meters of water. They'll retain around 0.9 meters of water at the bottom, and the remaining supernatant liquid they are going to take it out. Now then the manual laborers are going to get in with the pickaxe. They are going to clean all these area where the settlement is taken place. So once that is done, again with the help of pumps, all these settled or the scraped particles will be again taken out. And once this process is complete, and again they'll open this inflow, and inlet is opened, then again they'll allow the waters to stay back, and then the same procedure will continue. So this is regarding the rectangular flow with longitudinal rectangular tank with longitudinal flow, whether it can be cleaned mechanically or manually. Now this is the circular sedimentation tank. So here you can see the inflow is at the center and the outflow is in the periphery. So this is actually a section which you are seeing. So if I just draw the plan of this particular thing, so it will be something like this. Okay, and so what will happen is this is its inlet. So the water will come in all the directions over here. And as and when the water enters, okay, you can again see there will be some baffles here. You can see in this, you are seeing all these baffles, right? So what will happen is once this water will enter into this chamber, it will hit this baffle, and in turn the water will first go down and then it will rise up. So in this particular process, what will happen is, one of the advantages, as and when the water is moving in the upward direction at a very slow velocity, even these particular suspended particles tend to settle down because they don't have any intent of moving in the above direction. The reason being their specific gravity is more than that of water, and even the velocity of flow will be very less. So because of which, what will happen, these suspended particles will settle down, whereas only the clean water will be taken to the supernatant, or else they will be coming to the top. And once they are at the top, again through these exit channels, so they are going to taken out and they will be collected in one place. So basically what will happen, the water is coming something like this. This is the inlet, and once it reaches over here, again throughout this entire periphery, the clear water will be collected in these, and at one point of time there will be a pipe where all this water which has been collected in this peripheral channel will be again taken to the next unit. So this is regarding the circular tank. Now these are the circular tank with radial flow, and here it is a central feed and a peripheral feed. So you can check it out. The top one is, it is nothing but peripheral feed. So here what is happening is the inlet is coming from the periphery, that is from the sides, and based on the flow pattern, or else based on this inlet arrangement, what it will happen is, so it will tend to push this downwards. The water, or else the inlet will be pushed downwards, and in turn it needs to first go down and then it will be able to come up. And once this comes up, so again the same water again through this effluent channel it will be taken out. So you can see here inlet is at this end, outlet is over here. So between inlet and outlet there will be a thin sheet, or what we can call it as a baffle. So this particular baffle itself will be changing, or else differentiating the inlet and outlet. The same thing is happening over here. So if I just draw the plan of this, check it out. Yeah, so here the inlet feed will be somewhere over here, and again this will be not at the top. So you can see the top level is here, but the inlet is below that, so that is at a certain depth below this. So in that way the inlet will be coming in, and it will be asking this water to first go down. Based on that, again it will rise up. So as and when it is rising up, again the suspended particles will tend to settle down, and in turn, once the water comes on top, so again it will be collected in these top peripheries, or else these channels, and based on these collection the water will be again taken out. So you can see here on this side they have shown the collection arrangements from these effluent channels, and then they are taking it in the to the next process. Now similarly, the second one is we have here peripheral feed, but again these effluent weirs are there at the center of the basin. So effluent weirs are there at the center. So here what is happening? Same procedure. The influent is coming from the sides. We have a baffle. It will make sure that the water will go down first, then it will rise up, and once it is rising up, in the center we have these particular channels, or else effluent channels. So once this filtered water, or else this what I can say, this suspended free water, suspended particle free water, once it rises above, and it is going to join into this effluent channels, and through that again it is taken out. So here if I just draw the plan, it will be something like this. Your inlet at a lesser height, you can check it out. This is top level, inlet is below that, so that is entering over here. It will ask the water to go down and then move up. So this is nothing but the effluent channel. So water will ultimately enter into this channel, and in turn it will be taken to the next treatment unit through certain pipe arrangements. Now this is vertical or upflow tanks. So this is the second type of sedimentation tank we have. So till now what we have discussed were all horizontal flow, but whereas this one is what? A vertical flow. Here you can check it out. So the inlet will be at the bottom and the outlet will be at the top. So here what is happening is, we'll have this inlet arrangement made in such a way that we are going to have some initial velocity. Here they have written it as V1, and the same we are going to call this as, once it comes to the top, you can call that as V0, or we call that as surface loading rate. So regarding this, once we are solving the problems, we'll have a detailed discussion about the surface loading rate. For now, imagine the inlet velocity is V or V0, which is both are V1 or V0, both are same, and we have one more velocity, that is settling velocity. Now here what we are trying to do is, as and when the water moves up, okay, so the suspended particles tend to settle down. So for this settling, what the condition required is, so this particular Vs should be more than this V0 or V1. That is, if your V1 or V0, if it is less than or equals to Vs, then we can say the settlement of this particle will take place. So if it is these two are more, then obviously the suspended particles cannot settle down, because your inlet velocity is more than the settling velocity, because of which even these particles will tend to move in the upward direction, and in turn they are going to go into the outlet. Whereas if the initial velocity is less than the Vs, then this particular settlement is bound to take place. So this is the working principle behind your vertical or upflow tanks. Okay, so now design concepts for all these sedimentation tanks. So a design concept, so once we are solving those design problems, so what the basic principle is, or else what are the factors what we are going to consider. So this figure tries to explain that. So imagine this is nothing but, I'll just try to draw this here. Yeah, so this is, imagine a sedimentation tank. Okay, so whenever I say sedimentation tank, basically it has nothing. So here what is happening is, let us imagine this point A is nothing but the topmost point of inlet in this sedimentation tank. Now, as and when a particle of water tries to move in this sedimentation tank, actually what all things will happen? So because of the horizontal flow velocity, this is your VH, that is horizontal flow velocity of water. Yeah, similarly, but this particle or water droplet, if it has this suspended particles, or even the suspended particle will have its own settling velocity. So that's why, based on these horizontal and vertical velocity components what this particle has, it is going to trace somewhat this particular what I can say flow path for the settlement, or else for flow path for this sedimentation tank. So the same thing, if I need to explain here, it is a point. So we have horizontal velocity v over here, and we have settling velocity over here. So if these velocities are there, basically what will happen, this particle which is at A will trace this particular diagonal line and ultimately end up at C. Now in this case itself, if you just imagine, if the settling velocity is less, it is small, whereas the horizontal velocity is more. So what will happen, instead of this particular particle settling down, it will escape out of this sedimentation tank. That is, if this horizontal velocity is more and vertical velocity, or else the settling velocity is very less, then the trace path will be something like this. So because of which what will happen, there is a possibility of the particle getting out of this sedimentation tank. Now here the working principle is what, if I make sure that the length of this sedimentation tank is at least equals to the horizontal projection of this part AC, right? So this is nothing but the length. Then I can be assured that any particles which is entering this sedimentation tank below point A, that is at a lesser elevation, will definitely settle down at this particular sedimentation tank. So we can be assured that if a particle is settling at a lesser height than this A, then obviously all those particles will settle down. So there is one more thing over here. If a particle is settling down, if a particle is settling down at A dash, imagine. So even at this point what will happen, if the settling velocity is less and the horizontal velocity is more, even at that point of time, this particle may remain into this sedimentation tank because this particular height is less. So that's why, so the entire design concept for this sedimentation tank will work on this line AC. So in the design we need to make sure that we need to provide at least the length is equals to the horizontal projection of this AC, so that this particle which has entered at A will end up at C. If we don't provide this particular length, obviously we are going to have lesser efficiency. So this is the entire design concept basically for the sedimentation tank. So again, as I told you, so once you come back to the regular classrooms, we are going to study regarding the actual problem. Okay, so the inlet and outlet arrangements. So as I told you in the previous slides, so whether it is an inlet or an outlet, we always bound to have a baffle. So you can check it out over here. So why these baffles are provided is, even for the inlet as well as for the outlet, is because we make sure that once the water enters here, it is not going to disturb the liquid or else the water which is already present in whatever unit that is. So this inlet and outlet arrangements are same for all the treatment units. It is not only for the sedimentation tank. So what will happen? The water will come here. First, it will become, velocity will become zero. That is, it will become stagnant. So once it is stagnant, based on the pressure, again the height of this water will increase, and in turn it is going to pass through this system. Now similarly, once it is coming out, again here we don't want to provide, or else we don't want to create any turbulence. For that, what we are going to do, again we have this baffle or a particular outlet chamber, what we call it, and in that we are going to store that water, and once it is stored, then it is going to be taken out. So whatever the turbulence is, even whatever little so it is made over here, it will not affect the liquid which is already in this zone. So these are the inlet and outlet arrangements what we have. Yeah. So these are the thin sections of pipe, something like this. So the length will be around 1 meter or so, and usually here 50 to 60 such small tubes will be used and made a bundle. Okay. So in these particular tubes, what will happen is, you can imagine this is your inlet. Yeah. So you can see these channels which are shown over here in this figure. These are nothing but the inlet channels, and you can see these top portions. So these are nothing but the outlets what we have. So before we go into this detail about this figure, let us concentrate on this. So these tube settlers, what we have, these individual tubes can be settled up or else can be arranged in two ways. One is we can arrange these particular tubes with a degree of only 5 to 6 degrees to the horizontal, or we can maintain the same thing up to 50 to 60 degrees. We can make it up to 50 to 60 degrees. So what is the difference between these two? Let us understand that. So imagine this particular figure what you are seeing over here. Yeah, so imagine this particular figure what you are seeing. So the top portion what is there, imagine this as the horizontal, that is 5 to 6 degree tubes which are over here, whereas here the bottom portion it is showing you around 50 to 60 degrees inclination. So first we'll understand regarding this 5 to 6 degrees. So that is only the top portion. So in this what is going to happen is, imagine this. Yeah, this itself is 5 to 6 degree. Now what will happen is, water will enter from the bottom and it will exit, and during this period what will happen is, water is moving up with minimum velocity, whereas these suspended particles which are there in this will adhere to these pipes, or they will hit that, velocity will become zero, and in turn they will try to settle down. And similarly the same thing, if the inclination is more, even the same procedure is going to happen. So from the bottom the liquid is let in, and from the top it is taken out. But the only difference between these two is, in the 5 to 6 degrees the sludge automatically will not collect at the bottom, whereas you need to have separate arrangements to make those. Whereas for 50 to 60 degrees arrangement what we have, so automatically based on that slope the sludge will be collected at the bottom portion. Now you can see here, if I come back to this particular figure, yeah, you can see this, these are nothing but the inlet which are going up. Okay, this is the water. Now this is nothing but the sludge. So because of this higher inclination the water is moving up and the sludge is going down. The same thing can be seen over here. Now the same thing, once it enters over here, what actually happens? So once it is above this, so it will come to this particular tank, or else it will in this open space what we are going to call it, and through that it is going to enter into these particular channels. You can check it out over here. So something like this they may enter. So this is from here, basically they will come up to this point, and from here they will jump onto, or else they will enter into these effluent channels, and through these effluent channels basically they will be taken out to the next unit. So what they recommend is, at least 1/5 of the entire sedimentation tank. So that is, so the last 1/5 portion of plain sedimentation tank, if we provide this with these tube settlers, definitely it is going to increase the amount of settling. So this is how the tube settlers work, right? Fine. So these particular things what we have discussed till now will end up with only the sedimentation part. So what all things we have studied is theory of sedimentation, settling tanks, there is different types, as well as design concept which is there, again the concept of plate and tube settlers. So plate settlers is again similar to what we have in the tube settlers. The only difference is, instead of those tubes you are going to have thin sheets of plates, or else these plates will be arranged next to each other. So they are going to make like a small plate section. So in between these, so if I just try to show it from this angle, it will be something like this. Sorry. Yeah, if I just try to show this, it will be something like this. So the water will pass through in between these sheets. In turn, whatever the particles will be there, they will hit these particular sheets, their velocity will get down and they will tend to settle down. So this is nothing but the plate settlers what we have. So it is exactly same as tube, where instead of tube we are using plates. Yeah, so these all things have been covered. So the entire sedimentation, plane sedimentation process has been covered here. So in the coming classes we are going to go ahead with the remaining syllabus, and I request all the students to have a practice of taking the notes of whatever these online lectures we have, and based on that, at the end of each module or each concepts, we are going to give you the assignments. So those things needs to be completed in time, and once you come back, those things to be submitted. Yeah, thank you.